Hello everyone, this is George Per the Fourth of JewelerWebsites.com. With me is Matthew A. Perosi from Jeweler Website Advisory Group.
Hello.
And this is video 2 of 3 on our analysis of the TaylorMade Jewelers redesign.
Right.
And we're going to be talking about the formatting of the site now that we've put content into it. We're going to look at how it was previously laid out, how it currently laid out, what needs to be modified to really give it our final stamp of approval.
Correct.
And where do you want to begin, Matt?
Well, let's actually talk about the process here.
Sure.
In this particular case, and with most of the cases that that you guys work on, you take an old site like this one here, and all of the content that is on the old site gets transferred to the new site once the new design is done.
Sometimes it's rewritten, designers may have changed, the focus may have also changed as well.
Right. All right, so with all the setup and the decision of what kind of content to put in and just the copy and pasting, there has to be a level of quality control on the last step before we say, hey, this site is completed. Now, when we put these new designs together, initially we set up all the style sheets, we set up the font sizes, we make guesstimates as to how things are going to look, the color schemes. And then once the content gets put in place, we have to revisit everything from one of our more experienced staff members, and has to say, all right, this needs to be tweaked, the extra spacing needs to be added here. How does it work? Putting the final touches on it. So we're going to go through right now, and we're going to analyze this on this recording. And then if you want to see the final changes, you can simply navigate over to TaylorMadeJewelers.com. Here we are looking at the homepage. And let's talk a little bit about this photograph. I see this photograph seems to have a color border. Where did this come from?
This photograph was actually taken from their existing website.
So the older website. So,
yes.
Oh, okay, right. So here it is here. It's actually the same photograph. Didn't get modified at all.
No, Chris was happy with how the store looked in that photograph. He worked really hard to get that photograph, so he wanted to make sure it was carried over.
Okay. Now, there was no thought of changing the edges to be fading into black on this one?
For the time being, no.
Okay. Might be something worth looking into on whether or not it, if you can get the original photo, and I know this photo is about 6 years old now, so if it's possible to find the original photo and then have the designer do some work on it, it would be worthwhile to at least see how it lays out, and whether it is worthwhile to keep the solid border or to put a gradient effect going to black on there. But now this solid border, you were commenting right before we started the video. What is your impression about the solid border next to this halo border here?
Yes, I actually like how this photograph of the storefront looks next to navigation. It's not something that I generally go for, but I do think that the way that it's laid out, there's a connection between the content of the site as well as what the store actually looks like and the business. So I do enjoy how it lays out next to each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do think that the spacing is good. I perhaps would add a little extra spacing on the opposite side of the photo.
Over here.
Where the text begins, yes. Right. Just to give it a little extra balance, I think that that would be an improvement.
Well, what I actually see is that there should be at least 7 pixels of a buffer between this edge of the photograph and the text, which is along this side. Now, as this is highlighted, you can see that there is only about that might be about 5 pixels. Maybe that should be 10 pixels. Maybe it should be 7 pixels. So this buffering here needs to be increased from around the photograph. Now, I see something else which several others may not actually see, but I can tell this top edge of this image is not aligned with these words, "Welcome to TaylorMade Jewelers." So there is a little bit of a step there, and I would take out that extra couple of pixels from the top of this image so that it does align with the top line of text. And also I can tell that it doesn't quite align with the top of this over here. So
well, that may also change if we do add a gradient effect.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, if we add the gradient effect, this does become a moot point, because now we're talking about the gradient effect gives an added buffer within the image, and then you have to take that into account when you're separating the text out. Now, another thing that has been jumping out at me as we've been reviewing this site is the spacing between the lines of text. I find this to be a little uncomfortable now. Many websites with other types of content management systems, in particular WordPress, the spacing between the lines of text is a lot wider. There's more leading in there, and that makes things a little easier to read. Now, I'm not too sure about the font size overall on the site. We may also want to try bumping up the font size on most of the content. I don't really know what it is now. That might be about 12 pixels that's on there, but maybe jumping it up to 13
14,
pixels or
yeah.
14 pixels may be a good test to see whether it's good or not. So yes, I would like to definitely see that increase there. Okay, let's work through the pages. Let's go to the Our Company up on the top and see how this loads up. All right, so this photograph here shows, now that's what got my attention right away. So here's Chris and one of his employees.
Although you don't know that because there's no caption.
Well, that is one of the things I was going to point out. So my attention got drawn to this photograph right away, or who are these people, but there's no caption underneath to tell who they are. Every photograph you put on your site should have a caption. Now, the one exception to that is going to be when you're looking at a product catalog, because obviously you're looking at an individual item.
Although, to be perfectly honest, the caption is reflected in the title. So the name of the item is the caption.
Right, I mean, but if you're looking at an engagement ring, you don't have to put a caption on the photo that says, this is the engagement ring. I'm just saying that in a product catalog, you don't necessarily need the captions on the images, because that's the product you're looking at. But throughout the rest of the site, anywhere you have a photograph, you should have a caption. Now, since we're talking about captions, let me go over to the store hours page, because this is the only place I think on the site that he does have a caption from when we were looking around the site. So here is Chris Taylor and a customer, or and customer. Shows a couple of customers in his store. Going back over to Our Company page, so the caption down here would be good to see. Now, let's talk about the spacing and the coloring of this page. I still think it could use some extra spacing. Now, this is a larger heading up here, the About Us. And I do like the way the photograph lines up with the top of the text. Any comments about this, George?
I think the way that this is laid out is pretty nice. I think if you were to increase the size of the photo or the space between the text, that you will get further down the fold, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I think it'll work.
Okay. Now, I'm noticing that the design has, I'm not exactly sure what color this is, but this doesn't look like pure white for his normal text, because this here is a link to the GIA, and this is definitely a pure white. And then down here, this is an unvisited link, the Antwerp, Belgium, and Diamond Buying Capital of the World link. That is an unvisited link, and when you hover over it, it turns bright white. Okay. All right, let's continue over to the jewelry page. And here we see his jewelry showcase. How many products does he have on his website?
He presently just has 10.
Oh, just what we see here.
Just what we see here. However, he is actively working with us in this office to get more products on, and also to incorporate more specific vendors.
Okay. So now this looks a little disjointed. Now, I know the system that he is using here automatically fills in or automatically creates these boxes. Now, one of the tweaks that should be done to the site is to make these boxes, the backgrounds white. Another option is you could remove these borders, but then I think you're going to end up with this jumbled mess of different size photos. So if you make the backgrounds white, it'll make everything look square, like this one here and like this one here. It'll look even.
Right. I also think, or at least for his pendants, he may want to incorporate some close-up shots for his thumbnails, so that they're clearly.
Oh, for these here,
yeah.
This past, present, and future necklace is this Circle of Love pendant. All right. Well, let's take a look at the Circle of Love pendant, and that really is not a good shot. When it comes up, the photo is below the screen.
It's all chain.
Yeah, it's all chain, and makes somebody have to scroll down. All right, and this is the zooming feature that's built onto a site. And this zoom that we see on the right is the same size image.
Yes.
That's what he has. So what's the situation with the larger photography? Does he not have any yet?
He is. These products have to be replaced with newer photos,
Okay.
and they will be replaced with larger photos when we get them.
Okay, so the larger photos will be uploaded, and then when somebody comes to this screen, they'll see a smaller thumbnail, and
Yes.
then when they hover over it, they'll be able to see
Yes.
the larger version popping out over on the right side. Okay, what's the situation with the descriptions down here? These are kind of short. Are we working on, or is somebody working on writing longer descriptions?
We do have somebody who can do that. Right now, we are not. We have not done that yet. I think we are waiting to see which products he decides to keep and what additional products he decides to
Okay.
add.
All right. I actually, considering the way the site is structured, I would think that a different layout for the product page should be utilized because this circle of love pendant, this title, should probably be moved way up here to the top somewhere. And then put the description right below it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter that when you have the description here, when you hover over the item, that the zoom is going to cover the description because you're not going to be looking at the description.
Right, you're not going to be doing
time.
both at the same time.
Yeah, so a different layout needs to be utilized for this product.
I do, however, like that in his description it does say how you can get this item. You can stop in, you can email him, or you can call him.
That's down here.
Yeah, it gives you 3 different ways of getting this merchandise that you like. So I do like that.
Okay, let's take a look at another product. Let's see.
Well, my eyes immediately go to the amethyst, tanzanite, and diamond ring.
It's the only colorful piece on the page. All right, let's go into the amethyst.
Now, as photos go, that's not a bad photo. If it had been larger, that zoom feature would absolutely enhance the experience. But it's a good photo in terms of telling you how large each stone is in proximity to the rest of it. And the color is probably quite close.
And again, I would just take the amethyst, tanzanite, and diamond ring and put it up on the top with a description below it. All right, back to the catalog. Okay, let's continue. Let's look at the education page. The education page brings us right away to the 4 C's of diamonds.
Yes.
And I think this needs a lot more padding. This looks like a big block of text that I don't want to read. It's a little daunting. I would add some space between the italic introduction here and the first 2 paragraphs. Also, is this a beige background on here?
Yes.
So this came from the old site?
Yes, it did.
Okay, is that going to be redone?
Yes, it will. In fact, also the font will be changed because it's an older style, and we'll be modifying that.
Okay. So I think once we increase the leading globally, now we're going to increase the leading of all the text on the site using a style sheet. Mm-hmm. So once that gets increased, this should expand a little more, make it easier to read. Although on this page, we may want to increase the distance between the paragraphs to match the distance between these photos, because I think this is a little bit too close here between these 2 paragraphs. All right, let's look at the contact form. The contact form has his store address, his store hours. Now, we've already seen that the store hours are on the store hours page.
But you can never have your hours in too many places.
Right. It's good to have the store hours in particular places where customers would expect to see them. Yes, they want to email you, they want to see your store address, but if they're here, here's another opportunity to give the store hours.
Mm-hmm. It gives them the opportunity of, well, they clicked on contact. So the contact takes them to a literal way of being able to contact you, but you're also giving them another method of contacting you, which is to visit your store.
Okay, and then we have the contact form on the bottom. Oh, this needs to be corrected. We can't read now. His text is in a lighter color, and this by default converts to or shows the same color as the text. So this here needs to be updated because there's words here that you can't see. So these words here need to be adjusted. All right. All right, let's look now at the navigation down the left side. So we saw the About Us page, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, our services. Okay, well, here we have a horrible reflection in a window. But obviously when this was taken, there was no polarized lens that was available, and it was also on a bright day. So you can see the TaylorMade Jewelers. Now, in this particular case, this works out okay because
It gives you the look of actually looking into his store.
the TaylorMade Jewelers, which is on the glass, is actually more prominent than the car.
Right.
But
Which is not in the showcase itself.
But we always have those problems where somebody will take a photograph of the glass in front of the store, and you don't see through to see the front window display, but rather you see the white car behind the person taking the photograph. But in this case, the logo is more prominent, and it brings attention away from the image in the glass there. But you see TaylorMade Jewelers, you see some model, you see some jewelry. RJO is pretty prominent in there. Overall, I think this is a
it gets
the point across. Not the perfect photograph, and there's no caption. There should still be a caption. It should say a view in through the front window of TaylorMade Jewelers or something like that,
or a tagline or something, even if it seems unrelated.
And this photograph should show.
Should say what he's doing.
Yeah, Chris Taylor looking at a watch, or is that a watch, or is that a bracelet? I can't quite tell on that one.
But that again, caption would tell us.
The caption would tell us. Yep. So we have to find out more about that. And here is another shot of his store. Now I just noticed something as I'm scrolling down here. There's actually capitalized words throughout the page, and it wasn't until we got to the bottom of the page that I realized that these are supposed to be call-outs of the individual services.
Yes.
So
probably could benefit from a color change, either like a burnt orange or a yellow.
It could be in his link color. Could be.
It could be. I don't want to confuse them and think that they can click on them.
Well, the links are all underlined on his site, the design. But what is the rest of the color palette that he's using? I suppose it could be in the color of his logo up on the top. But I see here that the link color is also the same color as his phone number up here. So it's not that incongruous.
I know. I think a stronger color would be a wise choice.
Stronger color, perhaps a little larger, and there needs to be more padding around this photograph also. And certainly each one of these services should have should be highlighted in all the same way. It'll make the page a little more readable, because otherwise, if you just scroll up and down real fast, it just looks like
it's a big blur.
It's a big article, but the individual titles will easily present itself as, hey, this is a small chunk. You can read me. You don't have to read the rest of it. All right, let's go down to policies. That's a nice photo.
It's a nice photo. It doesn't actually have much to do with policies itself, because this is a product photo, but it's a good opportunity again to get an audience that is already looking for information to see more product in your store. A caption would help tell them what they're looking at, though, because already they're not looking at that photo intentionally, so you have to give them a little extra help telling them what it is.
Right. Now, little bit of information behind this photograph. It would have been better if it was had better lighting. Now, this is taken through the showcase glass, so you can't use a flash because you'll end up getting a reflection off the glass. But if you have a store and you want to take a photograph similar to this, if you have showcase lighting, you may want to set up this photograph underneath one of the hotspots of your lighting, so that it is brighter.
Okay.
Rather than having this dull. Now, I know that we prefer to use unaltered photographs and not try to bring this into Photoshop and color tweak it, because it always ends up
looks fake,
affecting the actual color of the jewelry. And we want to show true color jewelry, not something that was quote unquote photoshopped to make it look better. More padding still needed around this photo. Caption needed. Would be good to know what kind of jewelry is actually in here. It has nothing to do with policies.
But again, you have an audience that's already here,
right?
So you might as well incorporate something else.
And we'll see down here, American Express, Discover, MasterCard, and Visa is mentioned. You know, you could have put the badge here. If you went through the trouble of mentioning the words, you could have put the badge here if you wanted. That would have, the only effect would be to just jazz up this page a little more.
Yeah, I see that.
All right. let's continue to meet our staff. This is an interesting layout, and under normal circumstances is wrong.
But in this specific situation,
Well, whenever you see photographs that are stacked like this, it is usually because someone put in the content and used the align left tag to modify the image, and that makes your photograph jump over to the left side of your area, and it allows text to line up on the right. And when you have photos that step like this next to each other, it means that you didn't put enough of space or you didn't separate it properly, because now you have these stepping photographs. So here's a description for Chris next to Chris. Oh, he's got a caption. And here's a description for Jeanne and next to her photograph. But I don't know. This is kind of weird because it is a shorter site. It shows up above the fold. And even though I know it is wrong, this layout may actually work. Now, the better thing to do would be to put both photographs one under the other. We've already spoken about increasing the leading, so that might make these descriptions longer, but you know what? There's got to be a longer description for these.
there's got to be more to say about what they do or how they what they have to do with the community or how they handle themselves inside the store. I think there really could be more bullet points as to what we could learn from them.
Right. Yeah, bullet points about the specialties, what they've done. More could be embellished here, but perhaps if we can't get more embellishment from them, more of a bio from them, then this layout could stay.
Okay.
All right, let's check the more button out here and go to the what is an RJO Jeweler page. All right, well, we have the RJO logo down at the bottom corner. I think there should be another larger RJO logo here somewhere.
Although larger RJO logos are hard to come by.
Okay, well, maybe we can take this one and change its pixel amount and increase it. We have, why purchase from an RJO jeweler? Is this a headline down here?
I think it's meant to be, yeah.
So that needs to be bumped up to either come close to the headline here in size or just call prominence to it. And there's too much spacing in here, so that needs to be closed up.
Also, interesting, there's a typography dagger at the very last sentence, indicating that it's meant to be used like an asterisk, and there's no notation. There's no footnote. So either something got lost in translation or that's there for something and I don't know what.
That's a very good catch.
Which indicates to me this was copied directly off the RJO website.
Probably, and that's a problem with copying information from your vendors or from your manufacturers. A lot of times, if you don't take the time to read through it, you just miss things.
Well, not just that, actually, especially when it comes to copying directly from your vendors. On vendor websites, that content has to do with the vendor and why you, the jeweler, should buy from them. So if you're just copying descriptions right from the vendor, you're basically telling your customers why they should buy directly from that vendor.
Right. As we have a deep sigh. Okay. All right, let's continue down on the left. We've already looked at the jewelry showcase, so let's jump down to Antwerp Diamonds.
There's got to be a photo of Antwerp that we could throw in.
Yes, there has to be a photo of Antwerp or diamonds, and if he doesn't have photos to supply us, then I have the photography I took when I was in Antwerp last summer.
But if he goes to Antwerp, which he's saying he does, surely he brings a camera with him.
Yeah, he must have a photo of working in one of the Antwerp offices. You know, if you have to fake a photo of looking at an unfolded piece of paper with a bunch of stones in it,
take it in the back.
Yeah, take it in the back of your shop.
Of your actual store. Because you're still talking about where the diamonds are coming from. Those are still real diamonds. So absolutely utilize your surroundings if you don't have photos from on location.
Right. All right, we have a click for a contact form on the bottom. It goes to another contact form. This one will have to be corrected because we have the same incorrect color scheme on the bottom. I'm feeling that these blocks of text, this one and this one, could probably be broken up.
Okay.
And increase some some spacing. So, I mean, if I'm presented with this large block of text, I want to say I don't want to read that one. I'll skip to the next one. It's shorter. But if I'm presented with several smaller chunks, then I'm more liable to read the page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go to engagement rings.
It's a very good photo.
That's a really nice photo.
To go with the title. Could use a caption, even though it does speak directly with what
the page is
what
about.
the page is about. But at least just a commentary underneath it that says a few of our engagement rings, or if this happens to be a photo of specific types of engagement rings, you can say these are all princess cut. This is an example of...
Well, for this one, it looks like these are pave engagement rings, or at least they have pave side diamonds. So you could put under here a sampling of our pave engagement ring selection.
Easily done.
And this seems to present well. Oh, wait a minute here. There's more headlines.
All right, those could be
This could be bumped up. Let's scroll down. More headlines. Oh, look at that.
And that actually lends itself very nicely. You have the close-up, and then you show even more rings.
Yeah,
I think that looks very nice.
That worked out really well, showing that close-up. And is it the same photo, or are they two different photos?
I believe they're two different photos.
I was wondering if the top one was a cropping of the bottom one, but no, they look like two different photos.
I think we just pulled back a little bit. It's hard to tell. The rings didn't move.
But that is a really good use of the photography, showing a close-up. When somebody lands on the page, they want to see the detail.
And again, in terms of caption, you could on the bottom say an even bigger selection of engagement rings.
This is something in bold here. Badly doesn't show. So this needs to be expanded. Whatever this is here needs to have either be bigger or a different color. You just don't see it at all. Maybe put it in pure white, something. This click here goes to Variety Gems website. This Genesis Bridal Collection link goes to Variety Gems website. Oh, there's more here. Selection of diamond rings. There is difficulty on the headlines on this page.
Yeah, this needs to be lightened up a little bit.
But I love the use of the photos. That's something that you guys watching this video should definitely take away from this.
And they're clearly photos of items you have in store. These are not just random engagement rings that you may have. This shows actual merchandise. This shows that you are legitimate and that you actually carry a stock.
Right. Now, somebody might want to use stock art with a pure white background of photograph, but you know what? If on these darker sites, if you're using stark white, it's going to be extremely jarring.
Well, it's not just that, but if you have stock images, you're projecting those as something that you carry, the power of suggestion is so great that if you say, "Here's an engagement ring, isn't this pretty?" your customers are going to want that engagement ring, and if you don't actually have it, well, then you've basically have an invisible sale right there.
And if they don't have, if the engagement rings, if they are perfect, if they are photoshopped to death, as I like to say, then when somebody comes into the store and looks at it, they're going to be disappointed because they expected to see something of much higher quality because the photography is always perfect. So the 4 C's of Diamonds page, Diamond Buyer's Guide. Okay, this one needs something to jazz it up. This needs some photography. This looks like another big block of text that I don't really want to read, but if there were some photographs in here that would pique my interest, I might be more inclined to stop it and read.
This could be finished diamonds, again, looking at diamonds on a sheet of paper, comparing the sizes. This could definitely...
Well, let's see. Deciding on a carat size. Okay, so if we had a photograph of a couple of different sizes of diamonds, would be good. Learn about the 4 C's of diamonds. All right, there's a subheading here which matches the top heading. This is the first page we're looking at that the subheading actually matches the top heading.
But it could be improved to have a little extra spacing between.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's mention down here of these grading reports, but why not show screenshots of the grading reports? You could easily get some photography of grading reports and put them in here. It'll attract attention. Oh, what is this little photograph I see here? We're talking about a GIA grading report, and here's what it looks like. Oh, an AGS grading report. Here's what it looks like. Okay. Continuing onward, the email us is the same as the contact form, And the directions, we have an obviously wrong color scheme on this page. That's not even part of his color palette.
No, it's not.
So that needs to be corrected. That is a style sheet issue, and whatever happened there, that particular command in the style sheet wasn't looked at during the initial design. So now that it's actually implemented, we have to go back and we have to correct that.
All right. But it does have local directions, which is also very nice. It's a nice touch, especially for businesses that are hard to get to using automated systems like Google Maps or Yahoo Maps or Rand McNally or what have you.
In fact, that's a very, very true statement. In his case, and you should check this out for yourself, make sure that you can get correct directions to your store from these different mapping systems. In his particular case, because of his address is a little obscure, it's 223 A Rock Road, and that we don't really know what it is. If it's the A period Rock Road in Glen Rock that causes the trouble, or if Google Maps thinks that his address is 223 Apartment A.
Yeah.
So there is a confusion. However, if you were to set up your Google Places and you go into Google Places and you say, this is exactly where I am, then Google is able to provide directions using your store name rather than using the store name and the geolocation that you specify rather than using the address that comes out of a database.
Okay.
All right. Any other things we have to talk about in terms
All
of
the way at
this
the bottom of the footer, there is a sitemap.
sitemap? Okay, let's go here.
This is a generated sitemap. This is good for Google,
Right.
and this is also good if anybody ever gets really lost. Now, he doesn't have a site that would necessarily lend itself to getting lost, but as his pages build and as he adds more product and more merchandise information, this may become a truly useful page. It is tucked all the way at the bottom because, again, not completely necessary for the consumer, but it does show you grouping and how everything is organized in a very specific and neat way.
Right.
It also gives you a preview of what our next topic is going to be, which is his mobile website.
Right, because the mobile home is it mentioned right on?
Shows it right there. So before we move on to that topic, is there anything else you want to make sure that we cover?
No, I think we are good.
All right. Well, then we'll use it as our cue to end this existing video. Please check out part 1, which covered the transition from his design to his new design, if you have not yet. Also check out part 3, which is forthcoming, which is about his mobile version of his website. Thank you for watching and listening. This is George Blair IV with jewelerwebsites.com.
And this is Matthew Perosi with the Jeweler Website Advisory Group.
And we'll see you next time.